Welcome to Grebner Outdoors, the home of fucking awesome.
Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Flemish string and the continuous loop string. With that being said, though, both are good and both have uses. I personally prefer a Flemish string, but you can't prefer one or the other if you don't actually know what the differences are. So I hope this video is going to be helpful in explaining them. This string here is known as a Flemish string. As you can see, it is twisted and it is braided within itself. This string is actually made by Fast Flight, and it has serving, and it is actually a continuous loop. The Flemish string, having a weave type structure to it, is like monofilament fishing line. It actually stretches. The continuous loop string does not stretch. The stretch in a Flemish string makes it quieter, but it does make bow tuning much more difficult sometimes, because if you leave your bow strung for a prolonged period of time, just like how monofilament stretches when a fish strikes, at that point you are getting a lot of stretch out of your Flemish string, and it can change your knocking point. When your string stretches, you will actually have brace height issues. So that is why it's not good to leave a bow strung over an extended period of time, not only for the health of the limbs, but also the Flemish string's main plus is that it does actually stretch. It stretches every time you shoot it, and that makes it quieter because the stretch in the string is what takes out the vibration. This continuous loop string is all made out of the same material. This continuous loop string does have some stretch, but it is substantially more loud. You know how with braided fishing line, where there's no stretch whatsoever, you have incredible sensitivity to what's going on the end of the fishing line? That's kind of like this. A continuous loop string is much faster because they're normally thinner than a Flemish string, but without that stretch there, the string is much more sensitive to the vibration, and vibration creates sound. Now, in the traditional archery world, vibration is important because our arrows are traveling slow enough that an animal can feasibly jump our string and be gone before the arrow actually gets there. A Flemish string is going to fly a little bit slower than a continuous loop string, which is why these are termed fast flight strings, but they're substantially more quiet. So you really have to choose. If I'm shooting a target bow, and I don't care what it sounds like, it can ring like a bell and thump like a drum, because the 3D animal ain't going to jump my string, and I'm shooting field archery out to 70 yards, let it twang and thump and let it ring. So why not use a continuous loop string? If you're hunting, my advice would be to go with the Flemish string. However, you can put string leeches into a continuous loop string to help kill the vibration and deaden the sound. You can put cat whiskers on. You can pretty much do whatever you want to. But the Flemish string is always going to be more quiet. No matter what you do, the Flemish string is always going to be more quiet. And generally speaking, the continuous loop string is going to be faster because it is slimmer. We're talking about minuscule amounts of actual speed here, but the continuous loop string will be faster. One thing that I also want to cover is the Flemish string being thicker, being braided, having more elasticity to it, extends this string's life. Let's say that you get a cut somewhere in a continuous loop string. It doesn't have each one of these little braids to cinch off that cut. Let's say you accidentally run your broadhead across your string. I've seen people do that with a compound and blow the bow up in the field. But let's say that it happens. Your traditional Flemish string is going to be a lot less susceptible to string wear because it is braided and is stronger, like braided fishing line, but it also, because of that braid not being as tight as fishing line, has that elasticity and stretch. The continuous loop string, not so much. Virtually no stretch. It's incredibly sensitive to sound, vibration. They're faster, don't get me wrong, but my choice will always be a Flemish string. But if you only can afford a fast flight, or that's what came on your bow is a continuous loop string, keep the string waxed and you should be fine. Well, I hope this video has been helpful to you in selecting the string for your traditional archery equipment. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at legallyconcealed.org. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors. Don't forget to rate positively, comment nicely, and subscribe for more Tex Grebner Outdoors misadventures. You never know what you're going to get when it's motherfucking me.
Every day of hunting is exactly the same, but every day of hunting is just a little bit...
Oh, son of a bitch!